Hey, good morning. How is everyone doing? I'd like to take the time and welcome you to another Morning Glory Apostolic Prophetic Center video. And today we're going to teach on the subject called I Can't Live Like This. I can't live like this. And as I was last night, uh, as I was awakened by the grace of God, oftentimes I still uh, engage in remembering where I came from. And I think about the things I've done, and I go to laughing, and I say I was so stupid. But then I think about the things I've done after I got saved, and I get a little sad, and I say I know better. And then I go to thinking about the things I've done while I've been preaching this gospel, and I get worried. I get worried because I'm seeing a pattern in my life, although it's not all the same thing. And it ain't necessarily got to be any kind of bad sin or sexual sins like that. It's of some kind of way I would do things and I'll make an excuse for why I do. Many of us, we have sin in our life that we are so comfortable in doing it that we think it's okay to do. I think about the people that lied on me or told half truths or left important parts out. And I think and I kind of see how they just get living their life. They're not affected by how they try to dehumanize me, attack my character, allow me. And they just going on in their life thinking nothing's gonna happen to them. So I said, what's gonna happen when the chickens come home to roost? Yeah, because you do know our word teaches us that we're going to be judged for everything we do, whether it's good or bad. The problem is, what side will you line up in based on your you treat people? So as I took a little shower, uh, this Texas stuff, had to make a little video to let people know what's going on. The spirit whispered the words, I want you to tell them I can't live like this. Can't live like this. And what's wrong with many of us, we sit alone with an internal struggle. We sit alone with an internal bondage, an internal mindset, and unknowingly we self-sabotage our life, our relationship with God, and oftentimes our relationship with people. Not because we did it on purpose, but because some of you got in a way of life or a way of thinking and you don't want to change. Then some of you are scared. You're scared of being rejected. You're scared of being turned down. You're scared of being laughed at. And then some of you, you just don't have a relationship with God that you profess. So we run people away out of fear. We can't move in happiness out of fear. So we continue our weight of sin. That's where we fall into Romans chapter 6. And here in Romans chapter 6, Paul teaches an important message about sin. If you understand the whole ramifications or the whole uh, 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 ideology of this particular chapter, he's talking about God's grace is better than any stubborn sin and is greater than any occasional sin. But you got to understand where you are in God. Yeah. And so for many of us, because we grew up in a religious environment, we go to church, we hold positions in church, we preach this gospel, and yet we can sin so effortlessly and it doesn't bother us. It bothers me. Y'all look at all this water I'm drinking. I'm listening. He said, boy, I need you to drink some water. And he be killing me. He been killing me. So he starts off the scripture. He said, what shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? See, he spent all of chapter 5 telling you the benefits of being justified through faith. And it's through faith that we understand what grace and mercy is. So he finished it off showing us, teaching us the grace that God had for the sin that Adam made. So he continues in verse 6. He says, so shall we live a life, shall continue in sin that grace may abound. See, Paul introduced an ideal in Romans 5 and 20 when he said, where sin abounded, grace abounded much more. It doesn't imply that we live a continual life of sin because we know that God is going to forgive us. It doesn't say we have a free reign on sin because we understand God will forgive us. And we've been in these churches and we've taught people that God hates sin but love the sinner, which is a totally wrong ideology. Because when we read this Bible for ourselves, God destroys the sin and the sinner. He don't separate it when he come to you. He take you all out. Ask Solomon and Gomorrah. Ask him. So watch this. We got a mindset of some people think their job is to sin and God's job is just to forgive. So they're gonna do their job in sinning, and God gonna do his job in forgiving. That's Father for the crew. So that's why he asked the question, shall we continue in sin? And a lot of you treat people like trash sometimes, and you show no remorse. Listen, nothing. I don't know why I certain things. Okay, let's put that out there. But on more than one occasions, I didn't hear women say I treat them like trash, and I'm trying to see how when I done to do everything they asked me to do. But that's something internal. But watch this. Even when I don't know why I make them feel that way, I offer an apology or some sort of compromise. But some of you You treat people like dogs on purpose. You talk, you say any and everything in a fit of rage and of anger. And yet, you never tried to make it right. See, Paul says, shall we continue in sin? That's a present active tense, which means a lot of us are continuing in sin because we think we can just lay down or get on our knees. God, please forgive me. See, why would you meet the sneaky link at the hotel this Friday? You get up, go out the door, God, please forgive me, but you already got the room reserved for next Friday. That's a cycle. And a lot of you remain in a lifestyle, a cycle lifestyle of sin, is because you don't want nobody to challenge the way that you live. You don't want nobody to tell you you're wrong. So y'all become offended to keep from being convicted. That's why I often say grace is very dangerous. And the reason grace is dangerous, when it's not taught with the perspective of making people understand that it's a consequences of their sin, they think they can do any and everything, and all they got to do is just say, God, forgive me. God, I'm sorry. He goes on to verse 2, he says, certainly not. How shall we who died to sin live any longer in it? See, when you come over into this thing called grace in Christ, which means you heard his voice or you believe in his way. Now you're trying to get to know him more intimately. You just keep living the same way. See, sin that you got. And for some of you, you can't think about it because to you it ain't no sin. But if you know what I'm talking about, think about a habit you got before you left the world and while you in Christ. Why is it you still doing it, whatever it is, and you not convicted? See, it's showing you you ain't dead yet. Because if you can keep and continue to live in sin and it don't bother you, something wrong. And I'm not just talking about the people who sit on the pews. I'm talking about us that sit up there here and preach this gospel. Cause y'all know we do some sneaky things behind closed doors now. I'm telling y'all. Yeah, I know what y'all do. But is it a continual cycle? See, you can't say you God called you to preach and you still caught up in the same thing you were doing before you was preaching, while you was learning, and while you're preaching. Something wrong. You see, you can't oftentimes preach to the single people and tell them to hold on, and you know you got a rose on charge. Yeah. Or you got a little sneaker link that come over there and take care of you every now and then. We got to be honest with ourselves because our character is at judgment right now. You know, the things that we do when we on our downtime, our alone time, when we want some company time. And some of you good, some of you good, but oftentimes your thoughts ain't. Some of you got a cycle of thoughts that's more dirtier than the actions some of you take. Verse 3 says, or do you not know that as many of us as were Christ Jesus were baptized into his death? Therefore, we were buried with him through baptism into death, that just as Christ was raised from the dead, glory of the Father, even so we also should walk in newness of life. See, we should be so immersed with Christ that the very thought of sin, it should vex our spirit. But it's the very thought that you can ask for forgiveness that it don't bother your spirit. See, we got to understand when Christ was raised from the dead, that meant he was raised by his spirit. So you got to understand the idea of baptism is for you to leave that flesh alone and become empowered in the spirit. See that they're like, let's just look at Brother Hubbard likes some nice legs. Brother Hubbard likes some nice thick lotion legs. I can't go out here and I'm sitting down and eat and I let them legs get me in trouble. Because I'm a glance and I'm a look. God dog, she looking good. Why I keep looking? See, the more we play with it, the more we want it. We can't hide from things that oftentimes we may be in bondage to. But when you're walking in the newness of life, it shouldn't even bother you. See, Paul is dealing with a fundamental concept that every Christian should know. That means baptism is no more than you die into the flesh and you rise into the spirit. That's all it is. But some of us, we rule with more power of the flesh. And when you rise with more power of the flesh, that's why there's no glory on your life. And if there's no glory on your life, that's why you got to talk about people like us, because you done heard some things. You may have dealt with us some kind of way. You may have been around us, and he ain't all that. But so why he out there doing such and such and such and such? Because I try to walk in the newness of who I am, not the oldness. See, most people teach baptism with the association of cleansing. No, it's the association of being rose with power. It's a spiritual acknowledgement that you're going to try to walk in the spirit of Christ. See, with something, if you really understand who you are, there's always something dramatic or life changing that happened in your life that caused you to come to Christ in the first place. And for many of us, as we look back, like often I do, and you see where you were and what you come from, then you can't help but know that's God. Verse 5 says, "For if we have been united together in the likeness of his death, certainly we also shall be in the likeness of his resurrection. Knowing this, that our old man was crucified with him, that the body of sin might be done away with, that we should no longer be slaves of sin. For he who has died has been freed from sin. Now, if we die with Christ, we believe that we should also live with him, knowing that Christ, having been raised from the dead, dies no more. Death no longer has dominion over him. For the death that he died to sin once and for all. But the life that he lives to God. I got a friend that calls me every now and then. And I was kind of sleeping, but he called me. And he said, Brother Hubbard, I don't have nobody to talk to because of where I'm at. You know, we pretty well established in ministry. And he said, I just got to talk to you. And when he opened his mouth, and he don't mind me saying it because I told him, I said, man, I said, I'm gonna have to use that. And he married. He said, I don't know why I'm cheating on my wife. Not just with one woman, but plenty of women. And he goes on and it's like, I can't help myself, man. What's wrong with me? And this what got me to thinking, I, I even though I know him personally, I know God used, I know his heart is pure. I know I it's something when you're in the spirit and you can tell when people don't want to do what they're doing. But why is he a slave to what he's doing? And I was speechless for a while because I'm just listening. But that's what gets me. You ain't got nobody to talk to. And I'm listening, and it's sad for a man to be in a position that he want to talk about what he's struggling with his wife, but if he tell her if she don't get the spiritual understanding what he need, then he gonna run the wife off, but yet and still he wanna stop. So a lot of us we're dealing with because we fear how others will us. We say what's really going on with us. And say us because I know a lot of people like that who oftentimes want to say something to me, but they don't open their mouth. I'm like that sometimes about, and what I told him, like I talked the other day, I said, I said, have you asked God why he has you or allowing you to go through a struggle like that? Because that's something serious. And a lot of us have serious struggle and we seeking God for the answer, but oftentimes the answer is we should be seeking God, why is this happening? So when you understand that your old man should be crucified, you shouldn't have fun seeing Deacon Willie or Sister Bernice every other Sunday, once a month rendezvous. There should be something in you that's safe. But if your old man ain't crucified, then it sure feel good. See, we at a point that in order for God to liberate us from certain sin, we got to be honest about who we are. And that's one thing that I've seen, especially people I kind of listen to. I've seen a mindset change from really telling people what they really going through. Because I think for so long we don't ask what's going on with Pastor Nick. But Pastor Nick want to know where everything was going on with. See, I don't want nobody around me that if something going on with me or I happen to sin, I can't pick up the phone and say, hey, guess what I did? See, I think the reason some of you can't get to the level of who you are in God is because your leaders don't necessarily tell the truth when they fall. Yeah, they hide it. They go on sabbaticals. Then they come back and it's quiet. See, some of y'all got to come that's coming in ministry, and you may be single. You got to know that some of us might deal with the same thing that you're going with now. So come on now, this is us. Y'all say real talk. Y'all know some of y'all behind this pulpit. No, you want you a good 30, 40, 50-minute session right now. Yeah. Just tell the truth. And I think that's what we miss it with God. You see, you don't think you can say, God, I'm horny. Why I'm feeling like this? You want to act like you don't get it. See, sometimes for some of us, you ain't gonna take that little feeling away. But it ain't done away with if you trying to act like it don't happen to you. But then you and old Deacon Willie sliding 3 states over. Yeah. So can't nobody know. Man, I was laughing so hard. Couple I was dating this I was trying to treat her right, but I was dating this old preacher later. And, 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 and I went, and she said, no, let's go over such and such. And I'm why are we going all the way over there? Let me just say it's rough out here. See, it's hard being a man or a woman in ministry and you trying to live right and you see somebody and you think they right, but they more messed up than you. And you try to get away sometimes, but some of these women are a little forceful, you know, and don't have that. I'm talking from a man perspective now. I'm the one that when you don't do what they want to do, now they want to expose you. I'm gonna tell them you did it anyway. Hey, lie on me, you know. So now you're saying, well, she gonna lie, this your reasoning. When she gonna lie on me, I might as well get it. See, you got to watch the trap of the enemy. But guess what? It's because we don't want to admit what we really feeling. See, y'all don't like stuff like this. Let me go on. Y'all, see, y'all holler, y'all want the truth, but you don't want the truth because now you think people gonna look at you different. I learned by this, and I think God teach to understand it of it anyway. I don't really be want to do this, but I know by the grace of God on my life, I have to. You know what I'm saying? And because He know I'm gonna tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? It's so much stuff I want to say that I can't say because the person, purple people, whatever I want to call it, if they ain't around to defend themselves, I don't just want to open my mouth. See, we can't be living a new life and we're still struggling with the old sin continually. And some of us, watch this. That's a good one now. Let's look at it. So, so watch this. So, some of you, don't say us this time, you was having sex before you know God, while you were getting to learn God, and while you ministering God. It's the same thing. You ain't even changed. You ain't even said, I don't want to do this no more. You was sexing in the world, you was sexing trying to know God, and now you still sexing. What part of the old man died? And you ain't never tried to live right. Oh, y'all wait for the right man or the right woman, and you back in the sack. You at least sometimes have some tact about yourself. And then the minute the relationship don't go right, now you looking for another man or woman of God. But watch this. It's the same sin. You ain't dead yet. Verse 11 says, likewise, you also reckon yourself to be dead indeed to sin, but alive to God in Christ Jesus our Lord. Therefore, do not let sin reign in your mortal body, that you should obey it in its lusts. But that reckoning that brought back memories that we say in the country. I reckon. See, reckon means to come to a point of thinking that you don't want to do it no more because it ain't in you. Yeah. So what you do? You just start living for Christ. But when you see that chest and them gray sweatpants and them sundresses and you come alive, why why you can't say, well, I ain't gonna participate in suns this season? I ain't gonna participate in gray sweatpants season. It's because you ain't dead. See, death to sin is only one side of the equation because you got to live new to something. And I ain't talking about changing partners. I'm talking about a change you. See, when sin reigns in your mortal body, that means it's easy for you to do it. See, you ain't free. See, it's easy for you to have a one night stand. It's easy for you to go from man to man, woman to woman. It's easy for you to lie. It's easy for you to drink. It's easy, well, get drunk. Because every now and then, old brother Hubbard get me one of them old strawberry, what they call them, strawberry old daiquiris. But the thing just be, ooh, they just hit the spot. But you know what? I'd rather go to Circle K and just get me a old ice yourself, because that's all it is to me. But see, when sinning to you is easy, that means you never die. You ain't died. Verse 13, and do not present your members as instruments of unrighteousness to sin, but present yourself to God as being alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness to God. For sin shall not have dominion over you, for you are not under law, but under grace. Now, I know you're a Bible thumper. I know you out here on preaching, but why why invite them over and you got them things, them titties sitting up pretty, and he could see that shave, and y'all be slick when y'all put them see-through dresses on, and you just say, "Come on, brother, I just want to cook you a good meal." And now he eating them collard greens, but you want him to hit them yams. Yeah, you just walking all around there. You want to bend over so he can see them nipples drop. What, why are you taking her out on a date and you keep mistakenly touching her butt? You mistakenly wanna hug, but you wanna grab them yams. We know what we be doing. And I think that's what God trying to get at it with a lot of us. We think we slick. We set ourselves up to fail. But see, when you really dead to sin, you oftentimes, well, God, why I'm feeling like this? What is it about this person? We don't say that. We just try to think of a way to get what we want. Hmm. See, it's easy for you. See, I'm learning you can be set free and still in prison. I look at my son sometimes. He spent 5 years in prison. He's free, but in certain ways, he still got a prison mentality. It's like his mind still ain't caught up that he's free. And so what we got to understand, we got to build us a habit of living righteous as Christ. See, you can't go out with the girls and you the only one dressed presentable and they round now, what Gorilla say now? You wear booty shorts cause your money long. Y'all know how y'all be dressing when go out the girl. Y'all know how y'all dress. See, to the world, we believe, because I'm using the world mindset, birds of a feather flock together. I don't care how modest you dress. If they look around and see how the other dress, they're gonna think you to be the same thing. He said, present your members. That's what you see, what you hear, what you say, what you touch, and where you go. I was talking to a friend, and I'm gonna show you how easy it is. I got a friend that married and they went somewhere. The wife went to Mexico to a some kind of resort with a sister. I mean, with her daughter, with a young daughter. And the story goes on. Uh, some Christian lady walked up to her and said, "Hey, how you doing?" And well, where you staying at? And she told her resort. And the Christian lady looked at her. What you doing over there? That ain't what Christian go. Come to find out, it's some kind of resort go over there And baby, they get down. You go to the resort because they doing all kind of debauchery. But that's when you went with your daughter and you married. Now watch how easy listening to something. I said, dog. I said, where that at? I said, let me go over there and see what they looking like. Before I even knew it. You see how simple that was, but how subtle it can catch you? I had to shake that out of my head. Because you know what Brother Hubbard said? Y'all are finna go over there and get me and try to hold me for ransom. He might well kill me because I know ain't nobody paying that for Brother Hubbard. Because half of them I know they ain't got no money anyway. Just kill Brother Hubbard. But that's how that's how slight that you can hear something and cause you to do something or think something like that. That's how slight that you can go somewhere with somebody and you don't know and you don't and I don't know if she I don't think she knew. I'm gonna get a bit of I don't think she knew that's what they did over there. But buddy, they said you go over there, boy. They said they get down. I said, well, then I said to myself, I said, well, I'm thinking about going over there. I said, I got to figure out where that is. So I know that if I got to book a room, I hope that ain't it. Cause buddy, he said they get down from the root up to the my. So present yourself to God. See, making sure that your members don't lead you the wrong way, then you present yourself to God the right way. That's the second key to walking in freedom. And see, for a lot of us, sin got dominion over us, but we don't consider it dominion because we just doing what we want to do anyway. See, grace protects us, but if we make grace a crutch, it kills us because we think we can see, do, and have an anything, and it don't affect us. Then Paul asks another important question. He said, now he talks, so in the 1 through 15, he talks about habitual sin. When he comes to 15, he's talking about the occasional sin. He said, what then? Shall we sin because we're not under law but under grace? So now we mess up every now and then. You know, I'm one of them ones, so I fit in this one. I ain't ashamed to say it. But what? But he asked a question to that. He said, do you not know that to whom you present yourself slaves to obey, you are that one slaves who you obey, whether of sin leading to death or of obedience leading to righteousness. But God is thanked that though you were slaves of sin, yet you obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine to which you were delivered. Hmm. See, what he's talking about is that you trying to be free, but because of the law, it tells you that you messed up. But because of grace, God, why keep messing up? See, when you go from being a habitual sinner to occasional sinner, it's still sin, but it's a heart change happen. You know, you went from drinking a 24 pack to a 12 pack. You went from 12 to 6. You went to 6 to 1. You went to 1 to none. So now when you go out with the man, with the girl, now give me some soda water. Give me some sweet tea. Give me a ginger ale. He says, why not then? I know, what is it? And having been set free from sin, you became slaves of righteousness. See, sometimes the word no is a powerful word. See, church folks, ain't talking about the people. I ain't talking to the one in the word. Church folks, it's okay to say no. But you know, if he calling you by 10, 11 o'clock, and hey, big head, uh, or in y'all case, come over here and watch this movie with me. Y'all know what y'all going to do. Why fool yourself? Why fool yourself? Why you just gonna say no? Let me move. Now I know it's hard, so I ain't trying to convict you or condemn you in what you do. I'm talking about look at the character that you represent. See, I see what's happening now. God is more concerned about our character in the darkness more than our character in the light. And for many of us, we have to change from the dark